Today, we are talking blockchain and cryptocurrency. Listen up. We have to learn this and master this. So good.
Welcome to the Sustainable Living Podcast. Tips, tools, and tactics for living a heart-centered life that honors Mother Earth and her inhabitants. The information shared on the Sustainable Living Podcast reflects the opinions of host Marianne West, Janice Fryatt, and their guests. Please use your own discretion and research before applying any information to your individual situation. Now, here are your hosts, Marianne and Janice.
Hello, everyone. This is Marianne West, your host for today. And I'm here with a person I met on this social media platform I have been mentioning to you all called Steemit. And his handle on Steemit is at Taskmaster4450. And for right now, we're going to call him Taskmaster. So welcome, Taskmaster. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. And now let me tell you what we're going to talk about. So we met via blog post from Taskmaster where he was talking a lot about cryptocurrency. And Steemit is actually a platform where you can earn cryptocurrency for posting. I'm a complete newbie to this whole, thing, the blockchain and all those words you keep hearing. But I know it's important. And I know it's important for all of us who want to live a more sustainable life and who want to maybe step away from jobs we don't really love and step into something we want to do. And there is so many possibilities out there. We do need to understand it. So I asked Taskmaster he agreed, which I'm very grateful for, to kind of talk us through the very simple explanation what it is so we can wrap our mind around, and we might even turn that into an ongoing smaller episodes. So you guys send me your questions, let me know what you need to learn. So I'm coming from a place of basically knowing nothing, and I'm assuming that many of you are at the same place. So Taskmaster, would you first explain to us what is cryptocurrency and what is a blockchain? And I know it's big, so make it really simple for us, please.
Okay. Well, you can't talk cryptocurrency without talking blockchain, because blockchain is actually the technology. Cryptocurrency is an app. It's the first app on the blockchain. And the first blockchain, of course, was Bitcoin. That's the granddaddy of them all. That was the first one developed. It just had its 9th birthday. But anyway, blockchain is basically a decentralized public ledger. And anybody who knows any basics in accounting knows a ledger is basically something that businesses or individuals keep that shows transactions as they occur and money is moved from point A to point B. So a typical ledger, of course, says I took money out of my checking account and I sent it to the electric company. So it went from my account to the electric company. There's a transaction. Obviously, that transaction is recorded in my bank's servers. My bank has all the information of what goes on in my checking account and what I pay for and money that comes in and goes out. That's what's called centralized. A decentralized ledger is the exact opposite. It's not on any one company or any one entity's server. It's on computers spread all over the world. So hence it's decentralized. It's public, meaning anybody can see the money that went from wallet A to wallet B. So every transaction that takes place on the blockchain is available where people can view it. And we'll tie it into Steam to show the example of that. The third part of it is encrypted, meaning that it cannot be hacked. It doesn't go out as just simple English that anybody can read. It's encrypted so that it's very difficult to break into. And that's really the advantage to blockchain. And as I said, the first application was not only the Bitcoin blockchain, but the first application was the Bitcoin token, the Bitcoin currency. And without getting too technical, cryptocurrency is a little misleading in the sense of the term currency in there, because what it really is it's a protocol that is designed by algorithms in the blockchain software that cannot be changed. So hence, when you start looking at it as a currency in terms of, I'll use the word fuel for that blockchain, that's really what they're talking about. And so now you have Bitcoin, which has a value of, I think, at present around $8,200 a coin. And that's because there's extreme value in that coin, since there's only ever going to be 21 million of them ever mined. So again, I hope that gives a little bit of the basics without getting too technical. Really, it's a decentralized, and if you want to just look at the currency and not the blockchain, it's a decentralized public currency that no government or entity controls.
Okay, so I think the key points here said, when you made the example of a bank, the bank can be secretive about what's going on with monies, and it also can fold and disappear, or a government can close it down for whatever reason, which has, happened in many countries. But being decentralized, so all of this really happens on computer servers, right? And they can be all over, or are all over the world. So even if things go kaput in one area, the information is still available in many, many other areas. Is that kind of correct? Did I understand that correct?
You're correct. I'll give you an analogy that makes it a little easier. Everybody knows Facebook. Anything you do on Facebook, no matter where Facebook servers are, and I'm sure Facebook has servers all over the place, but they're Facebook servers. Facebook owns that information. You log into your Facebook account and you post pictures, you do anything on there, you go bouncing around, you're on their servers. They own the data. And as we are well aware, they take your habits, your surfing habits, and the pages you visit, and they determine what your likes and what your dislikes are, and they sell that information. Contrast that with, we'll say, Steemit, which you opened up talking about. That is a decentralized platform. That is not on it's not on Steemit company servers. It's on a bunch of different computers all over the world. People download this software. They're called witnesses. They run it. They're the ones who are running the actual blockchain. There's, hundreds or thousands of them. I don't even know how many there are running this thing. And hence, nobody has the data. No one person has the data. So nobody can sell your information because nobody has it. The only thing that's available is what's shown on the blockchain itself, which obviously are the transactions that take place on Steemit. It's who you upvote, who you send money to, who you get money from, who you comment on, and the articles you post. So that kind of just shows you the difference of it. Now, when you're talking the currency, to take it one step further, absolutely. No government controls it, which currencies are controlled by central banks. The Federal Reserve in the U.S., the European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan. These central banks are the ones who create money, the fiat money that people talk about. And what the difference is, and I'm going to tangent a little bit here in a second, but what happens is the central bank decides that they're going to do quantitative easing. So they create a whole bunch more money, which we saw years and years of it, and actually around the world we're still seeing right now. The central bank creates the money. The first place they put it is in banks, their member banks' vaults. So Goldman, JP Morgan, Bank of America, name any of the big banks, they get the money first, then they loan it out to you and me in the form of debt. Cryptocurrency is a little bit different. You go on to Steemit, you post an article, I upvote your article. Let's say the article pays you $1. When that dollar comes into your wallet, that is not a dollar that was ever created before. I am not sending you $1 from my wallet. you are getting a dollar that was newly created by the system out of the reward system. And that's the difference. So hence the new money created goes into average individuals' hands as opposed to the central bank system where new money created goes into the bankers' hands first, and then they loan it out to individuals and they charge them interest for it.
Okay. So a question I get a lot is, who decides what set is worth? Since, like when we have a dollar, for example, there are places we can look and figure out how much euros can I buy for this dollar. It's worth X amount of something. How is it determined in a cryptocurrency system?
It's the same exact thing, because you said when you have a dollar, you can look up and find out how many euros it's worth and how many yen it's worth or whatever the currency is. Those are determined by markets, and there's traders and Forex traders who are trading trillions of dollars a day back and forth that determine one US dollar today is worth $1.30 or 1.3 British pounds or whatever it is. And 6 months later, it may be worth 1.8 British pounds or 1.1 British pounds. It's just the market determines that. And it's the same thing. There's exchanges with cryptocurrencies that said, okay, if I have one US dollar, here, I'll give you an example. Right now, if I have one Bitcoin and I want to sell it, it's worth 8,200 US dollars. 2 months ago, it was worth 6,000 US dollars. 2 months from now, it may be worth 10,000 US dollars or worth 6,000 US dollars. There's exchanges that basically have the valuation of the money. And if you want a great site, or your listeners want to get a great site to go to, it's coinmarketcap.com. coinmarketcap.com, coinmarketcap.com. And what that does is that site lists, I don't know, there's about 1,300 different cryptocurrencies on there. Mine comes up all in in dollar amounts, but I believe you can change it to euros or whatever denomination you want. And it will list the different values of the cryptocurrencies at the moment. And if you keep hitting refresh, they'll go up and down as the currencies are traded.
So there are lots of different cryptocurrencies out there. And
yes, there's 1,300 of them or so last I checked.
Okay, so people go and create them and create a blockchain, and then it just depends if people find value in some?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, a lot of those 1,300 are absolute garbage. I would not suggest anybody under the sun touch them. A lot of them are thrown together because we are kind of in the Wild West, although we're starting to see a little regulation. A term that people may or may not have heard of is the acronym ICO, which stands for Initial Coin Offering, which is very similar to initial public offering in the stock market. An initial coin offering is you and I decide to put together a blockchain, we write a white paper, and we create a currency, and we have a coin offering where we raise money by selling the coins to raise $25 million, $10 million, $50 million, $5 million, whatever the number is, and we theoretically have a reason for it. Some coin offerings are for very valid reasons. There's very smart people behind it. They're going to be extremely successful ventures. Those people know what they're doing. There's a lot of hucksters out there who are just basically putting this stuff together. They write a white paper, they have a coin offer, and they raise a boatload of money, and 90 days later, the whole thing collapses. So people need to be careful with that. Personally, I don't deal in initial coin offerings. I ignore them. I see advertisements for it. Oh, buy it on a pre-sale. I don't even touch it. It doesn't matter to me. And I would suggest all your listeners, the last place you want to get involved in cryptocurrencies is with initial coin offerings. Even the experts have a tough time figuring out the good stuff from the trash, let alone novices. And I'm certainly no expert to the degree where I can figure out what's good and what's not. So I just don't touch them.
Well, that's really good advice. You said white paper a couple of times. Would you explain what a white paper is?
A white paper is a technology term. And when there's a new technology out, you have the people who are inventing the technology, they do what's called write a white paper. And it's very common in the research community. I said it's a technology term. It's really not. That's a little misleading. It's very common in the research community. People write white paper based upon their research, trying to find a cure for cancer or whatever they're doing. They're working on different chemical reactions, and they're chemists and PhDs at MIT. And after that, they'll write what's called the white paper. And a white paper in the token world, in the cryptocurrency world, is basically what people put together. If we're going to bring out a token, we write what's called a white paper. Well, that's easy to say. We write a white paper, which basically lists all the ins and outs of what we're going to do. And some of the white papers can get rather technical, like the white paper on the smart media tokens, which I know your listeners don't know what that is, but it was like a 40-page white paper. I read about 4 pages that were written in English, and the rest was mathematical equations. So it really started to delve into the mathematics and the programming behind it, which that's just way over my head, and I don't even, I don't concern myself with that. So, but basically what a white paper is it's just this is what we're going to do. This is what our blockchain is going to do. These are the algorithms we're going to run. This is what our target market is. This is what our idea is. Some white papers are very, very detailed and in-depth and technical and well-written. Others look like they were put together in about 15 minutes on the back of a napkin. And again, that's where when you're looking at different entities and different tokens, if it is something that's rather new, you want to read the white paper and see how it reads. I mean, does it read like it's written by somebody who has any clue what they're doing, or is it written like somebody's trying to sell you, something that you don't need on a late night infomercial? And that's really what you have to do, or one of the ways to decipher if there's something good or not in what you're looking at.
Right. So what kind of things could a blockchain do?
Well, I mean, that's like asking, what can the internet do?
Okay.
The blockchain, in my opinion, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, our whole world economy will be on the blockchain. Everything will take place on the blockchain. For example, some uses, well, we already mentioned a number of times Steemit, and I'll throw a little sidebar in here. Any of your listeners right now, if you are not on Steemit, if you are interested in this stuff at all, get on Steemit, because Steemit is really a very good way to get familiar with some of the going-ons with cryptocurrency. Not only are there a ton of articles on there and people are always writing about cryptocurrency, but you're actually engaging in it. You have a wallet, you write a post, or you do some commenting or whatever, and you earn yourself a little bit of steam, and it comes into your wallet. So it's really a very good way for people to get their feet wet with cryptocurrency. So I really suggest people do that. But we're starting to see social media going on the blockchain. Banks are threatened by the public blockchain, so banks are starting to put together blockchain technology to move funds among themselves. MIT has put together an app that they designed, and this year they put, I think it was 111 diplomas on the blockchain. They're on Bitcoin. They designed this for Bitcoin, but they put 111 diplomas on the Bitcoin blockchain. And again, that's not exact because they really didn't put the diplomas on there because Bitcoin doesn't have smart contracts. But basically what they did is they put a timestamp on there. So they sent the key to the student, and the student can go to a prospective employer, give them the key, and then that employer can find out that, yes, indeed, John Smith did graduate MIT in nuclear physics and does have a diploma there, and it's a public record. So ultimately, you'll probably see most governmental records on the blockchain, housing surveys, zoning surveys, tax information, appraisal information, all that'll be on the blockchain. You'll end up seeing most of your currency transactions will end up being on the blockchain. I've read articles that oil companies are now starting to use the blockchain because there's a question when oil's being transported, who owns the oil? You know, who owns it at what point? when it's on the ship versus when it's in dock, when it's on the trucks, blah, blah, blah. So now they're using the blockchain. Other entities are starting to use it for supply chain management. So when you have different supplies and suppliers all over the place, they're using blockchain for that. So really, it's a situation where everything is on the blockchain. And I'm sure you'll bring up the one that I sent you earlier in the week. Music is on the blockchain.
Right.
DTube is a version of YouTube that's on the blockchain. So, I mean, really, you're looking at whole companies are going to end up being on the blockchain. And I think most of our commerce will end up being on the blockchain in the future.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast of a friend of mine who podcast on the shipping industry, and she says it's the most conservative industry, and they are seriously looking at moving towards using the blockchain for doing all their transactions. So right there, that makes me go, okay, people need to really understand this. And that's where...
Well, I'll say it this way. People need to be involved in this. I think, and I actually made note of this, I made a comment about this morning. My feeling is blockchain technology will carry the impact on society about 100 times more powerful than the internet was. That's how powerful I believe blockchain technology is. Of all the technologies I follow, and I follow about 15 of them, everything from quantum computing to electric cars, autonomous cars, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, et cetera, et cetera. Outside quantum computing, I don't think anything's going to have as big an impact on our daily lives as blockchain technology will. And for that reason, I think the opportunities for people to get involved now, because people look at, oh, it's run up, and look at the price, it's gone up. We are in the first inning of this 9-inning baseball game. In fact, we're probably still on the first batter. This is very, very early in the game, and there will be a lot of millionaires and multimillionaires minted through blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, but people have to get involved. And the nice thing, and I keep hating to go back to Steam it, but number one, that's where you and I cross paths, so it's a common ground where we both have an understanding of it. But B, more importantly, there's really a couple ways to get cryptocurrency in your pocket. The first thing is to mine it, to download the software and to mine it. And depending on the currency, that can take very expensive computers, and it requires a lot of horsepower. Bitcoin in particular requires a lot of power and very expensive computers to mine Bitcoin. So that's really not an option for most of us. The second thing is you can buy it. You can take your fiat currency and go buy it. And if you do have some money, it's not a bad place to put your money. But again, a lot of us don't have dollar bills just falling from our ceiling, so money's a little tight. That's why I really like Steam it, because you can go on the Steam blockchain, and it's not only Steam. You can post videos on DTube. You can do what's called their version of Twitter, which is called Zapple. You can zap things out. They have an Instagram type service called Steepshot, where you can snap a photo of yourself on your Android phone and send it out. They don't have Apple as of yet. Last time I checked, they're waiting to get Apple's approval on it, I was told. But the point is you can get compensation for doing what you normally do on Facebook or on Reddit or on Instagram or on Twitter or whatever, and you can start earning yourself some steam. The reason why I sent you the link that I did is, as you found out, you can start earning cryptocurrency for doing something that you normally do, which is listen to music. And I would presume on your agenda here, you're going to bring that up at some point, so I don't want to steal your thunder.
No, let's talk about it right now. So I still have managed to download the wallet, and that has something to do with my computer, so I have to figure that out. But I signed up. It's called BitRadio, right?
It's bitradio.io, bitrad.io, bitradio.
Right. So for me personally, what's really cool about it is that they have a German station, which is it's close from my hometown. So I've been listening to German news and earning a little bit along the way. So that's a very cool, cool way to go.
I need to delve into a couple points right here, and hopefully people will understand and the first thing about Bit Radio is it's just like iHeartRadio, except it's on the blockchain. Now, one thing we need to understand with these technologies is there's a thing called Metcalfe's Law. And what Metcalfe's Law is, and this was something that dates back 30 or 40 years, but it basically says the value of a technology increases in proportion to the number of users. And the most commonly cited example of that is the fax machine. If you and I have the fax machine, and we're the only ones with the fax machine, the value of faxing is not going to be that great. It's not going to have a great monetary value because you and I are using it. We're the only two. The rest of the world doesn't use it. However, as more and more people start to use the fax machine, the value of the technology increases. So for that reason, in the cryptocurrency world, basically the unit of measure is wallets. And the more wallets that a cryptocurrency has, that means there's more people who are on that blockchain who have access to that currency. And for that reason, there's a lot of recommendation, bonuses paid, referrals, fees paid, things of that nature, because any of these cryptocurrencies, they love having you in there, but they'd much rather have you and your 5 friends in there. And so for that reason, what I did is I sent you a link that had my referral number on it.
Right.
And I hope that on your website, all your listeners will use your referral link to go to Bit Radio and sign up. And again, it's a wonderful way to start getting involved in the cryptocurrency arena by doing something that we normally do. We listen to music. So instead of listening to iHeartRadio, which isn't going to give you anything, you listen to Bit Radio and you earn I think it's like, in a day you can earn yourself 0.2 Bit Radio coin. Now, a Bit Radio coin's only worth about 15 cents right now. There's 10 million of them total available. A year from now, 2 years from now, it may only be worth 15 cents. I don't know. Or it may be worth $50. I have no way of knowing. But, and that leads me into the other point that I have to make. In the future, and, you can determine what the future is to you, but down the road, we are going to be living in a world where you are compensated for stuff you do. And what I mean by that is you want to listen to music, somebody's got to pay you, and Bit Radio does. Somebody wants you to use their search engine, they got to pay you. Somebody wants you to watch an ad, they better pay you. Somebody wants you to use their web browser, they got to pay you. And so what we're going to see is somebody wants you to post on their site, like Steam It, they got to pay you. There will be reward systems set up with the tokens where people can go and do what they normally do, but they're going to receive compensation for it. And that's really where I read an article which somebody made a very interesting point, where people in essence have 3 jobs. The first job they have is the job they go to work and they get their paycheck from. They exchange time for money. The second job is taking care of their family and their household and doing the cooking, the cleaning, the running the kids around, all the stuff we do, after work. And the third job that we have is the surfing of the internet, the answering of emails, the going on the Facebooks, the going on the Twitters, the going on our favorite blogs, commenting on them, listening to podcasts, all those type of things that we spend hours doing, but we receive no compensation for it. And that's really where the tokens, as we start moving into a tokenized world, and this is another reason for your listeners to start paying attention and get educated about this stuff now, because down the road, you are going to be able to make choices and go away from these mainstream traditional entities that you do all the work, and all of a sudden they have a 250, 300, 400 billion market cap, and you're basically typing away for hours at end on your computer and making Wall Street rich. And that's where the decentralization comes in and says, I go on Steam It, I go on Bit Radio, I do something that I normally could do. I could go listen to High Art Radio, I could go on Facebook and Reddit and post, but I get nothing for it. I go on Steam It, I go on Zapple, I go on Bit Radio, I get paid for it. I would say probably within 5 years, we're going to have 25 different streams of income, each of us. We'll have all these different things we do. You want to use some storage on my computer? Go ahead. Fine. Give me a payment.
Yeah.
And there's coins out there for that. I'm just trying to think of some of the projects I've heard. There's one that I'm signed up for. It's actually paid in Bitcoin. I don't really remember the name of it because it just kind of pops up when there's an email in there. But basically, it's a permission-based email system, and for me to open the email and answer the questions, they have to pay me. But this is really some of the possibilities that people are going to be living under in the tokenized world.
Which is very interesting. I really love that you mentioned Facebook right now, because when you think about it, Facebook got big because people took to it and put a lot of posts on. So that made it attractive for advertisers, right? So then pretty soon, anytime you go on Facebook, you have all those different ads. But now they changed it, said if you try to have any kind of small little business, like a lot of us do, a lot of us in the world of trying to live more sustainable, who knows, maybe we make homemade soap or have a product or have a digital product or something. Now, if we want to reach even our friends, we have to pay Facebook. So they're making money on all ends, and it really is on our content.
Mm-hmm.
So taking it the other way and saying, okay, I want you to read my advertisement and I pay you to read it, that's pretty neat, or it's a revolution in many ways. I think a lot of people already makes an agreement in a sense when they use like free game, and to use it for free, they have to read the advertisement, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this way, it would actually help you to make money to buy bread the next day, right? So that's very promising in many ways. I feel we are in a space in time where many people have kind of gone into a very negative worldview, thinking that they can't make it. And this seems to me a very doable way of at least supplementing an income a little bit. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think when you look at what's taken place, and there's 2 points to it. First off, I am already starting to read about an impact from personal accounts, and maybe you've come across them on Steam also, where people in third world nations who don't have a lot of income, I mean, don't forget that a couple billion people on this planet live on like $2 a day. So there's not a very high threshold. And some of these people in like Nigeria and Korea and some of those areas, sorry, not Korea, Vietnam, the woman was in Vietnam. They're making, I mean, when you start talking about rent being $50 or $75 a month, all of a sudden they get $4 or $5 of 50 cents, $1 off a post. And we keep saying dollar. They're not really a dollar. They're a steam, which right now is worth like 92 cents or something. But anyway, whatever money they get coming in, that makes a huge impact on their lives. Now, obviously, for those of us in the United States, you get $3. Okay, you're happy with $3, but is it really going to change your life? Is it going to change your week or your month? Probably not. So that's really something that for us in the first world nations, yes, that stream of income is very good and appreciated. And that's not to say that there's not people making a tremendous stream of income on some of these sites, because they are. But really, from my point of view, it's the value of the tokens 2 years from now. It's the wealth creation. It's not the income, it's the wealth creation. Because a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there doesn't change my life. But if I can have currencies that, let's say I have 1,000 steam at 92 cents, okay, that's $920. Again, in the United States, it's it's nice money to have. I like $920. I'd rather have it than not have it. But, none of us are going very far on $920 in the United States. However, if that $920, if instead of 92 cents, that token's worth $9.20 or $92 per token, now all of a sudden those 1,000 tokens aren't worth $920, they're worth $9,200
Right.
or $92,000. And that's really where the opportunity, I think, lies in the cryptocurrency world, and why my personal goal, I want to get as much currency as I can. Of any type of currency, I'm not going to pay for any type of currency, but I listen to bit radio as much as I can. Now, I don't know if that token will be worth anything in 2 years. But you know what? I want to get as many of them as I can. And I got like 25 or 27 of them right now. And if I get 50 of them, great. It may be worth $1,000 at some point, or it may be worth zero. But I have put my money into Bitcoin. I have put my money into Litecoin. I have bought Steam. I have bought Ethereum. I have bought BitShares. So there's certain blockchains that I'm rather high on that I am putting my investment money in. And again, I mean, I'm not in the realm where I'm putting, millions of dollars into these things, but I'm trying to accumulate as much as I can, because I know it doesn't take a whole lot to make a ton of money. And that's what happened with the Bitcoin people you read about who got into it in 2011, 2010, when a Bitcoin was 25 cents or 50 cents. And, 8 years later, it's $6,000, $8,000 a token. Well, if you had if you had 10,000 Bitcoin right now, you're sitting pretty good.
Yep. You definitely didn't have to go to work anymore. That's for sure.
You'd be living off your Bitcoin.
You said you buy some. So would you tell our listeners how you do that? Because you don't go to the supermarket and buy it, right? So how do you do that?
I can only tell you what I did. The first thing you need is, obviously, we're all dealing in fiat currency. And in the U.S., obviously, it's the U.S. dollar. So you need to go through some exchange that takes the dollar. And because you're dealing with dollars, or if you're in Europe and you're dealing with euros, those come under the securities laws. You're dealing with money. So in the U.S., they have what's called Know Your Customer. These are laws that were put in place so people don't launder money. So I went to the exchange I used was CoinDesk. They allow me to sign up. And of course, you have to verify. You have to send a upload copy of your driver's license, et cetera, et cetera. And you have to go through a process to get approved. They want to make sure you are you. But then I signed up with my bank account. And after a couple of days, I was able then to send money, and it took about a week or 10 days for the money to transfer over. But once I got the cash into CoinDesk, then I was able to Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. Those were the three that they offered. They don't offer the other currencies. But once I did that, once I converted my dollars into Bitcoin, then I could go out there and I could go through and buy Steam. I could go buy BitShares. I could go to some other exchanges and buy the different currencies. And I say buy, you're actually just converting Bitcoin to whatever you want, Dash or BitShares or whatever it is. So the regulations vary from country to country. Not every exchange is available. There's exchanges that are available in Europe. They're not available in the U.S. because of the different laws. The same thing going the other way. There's ones in the U.S. that aren't available overseas.
So it would really be a good idea for everybody to just even open an account, to have that option, right? You don't have to keep money in that account, right? It just is.
No, you don't have to. But then again, if you're really not, if you don't have any money whatsoever, it's not CoinDesk. What is a Coinbase? I'm sorry, but it's Coinbase is the account. COINBASE. They're the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the U.S. and maybe in the world. I don't know, but they're the largest in the U.S. They're based in the U.S. They have an address in the U.S. They're under the U.S. securities laws. They adhere to that. They're not available in Hawaii. That's one thing I do know. So if any of your listeners are in Hawaii, they can't use Coinbase because there's something with the Hawaiian laws were just too excessive for them to meet. So they agreed not to offer their services in Hawaii. It's one of those things. I mean, are you going to go through the hassle of uploading your driver's license and giving your banking information if you're not going to ever buy any currency? If you don't have the wherewithal, then maybe you don't go through the process. Once you get cryptocurrency, it's a lot easier to go and exchange it for other cryptocurrency because you don't have the regulations of going from Bitcoin to Litecoin or Litecoin to Ethereum because they're not under the central bank's laws. It's only when you're starting off with fiat or ending up with fiat. So if you want to take your Steam and turn it back into US dollars, you're going to have to go through an exchange and you're going to have an account to send the Steam to, and then you might have to send a Bitcoin if you have to convert it to Bitcoin to go into US dollars, depending on if your exchange takes Steam or not.
Right.
But again, that's just getting a little bit technical. And that brings me to another point. I think 2018 will be very interesting to see the commercialization of some of these tokens. And what I mean by that is right now I go buy Bitcoin. I buy Bitcoin. I hold it a year or 2 years. It goes up. I get out of Bitcoin. What do I do with it? I convert it back to US dollars. I have the dollar sent to me, so I go spend money. We're already starting to see some real estate agents who are questioning whether they take Bitcoin. People have already bought houses using Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if next year to see cars, boats, things of that nature, some of these higher end entities start accepting Bitcoin as payment. Probably won't pay your electric bill in Bitcoin anytime soon, although actually the Australians are doing that. There was a service that I read about that was set up that Australians are paying their electric bill in Bitcoin.
Oh, that's good to know. We have a lot of listeners in Australia.
Japan has, by year end, I've read that 250,000 merchants in Japan will be accepting Bitcoin. The problem with Bitcoin is its transaction fees are a little high. It's a slow network. That's one thing that gets people down on Bitcoin. The interesting thing is when you're looking at sending monies, especially internationally, Bitcoin is still a lot cheaper than sending money internationally through the banking system, and it's a lot quicker. Okay, so it takes 2 hours to go through. In the banking system, I mean, you want to send money to Germany, it'll take 2 or 3 days. And then it gets real bad when you send money to a country like Venezuela or some country with shady banking system. These are just things that people need to keep in mind. But the commercialization, and one of the things I was noticing about Steam is there's a thing called SteamBay that opened up on the Steam platform, and it is a auction protocol that basically allows people to have online auctions similar to eBay. But instead of going to eBay and paying the fees and paying the fee to PayPal, it's on the Steam network. You pay for your product in Steam. There's no transaction fee and there's no listing fee. It's all free. So these are some of the things that I'm interested to see with these different blockchains. Do people set up actual businesses around and commerce around to do this? I mean, it's one thing to have a blockchain to move money around, and that's wonderful. It's needed. But it's another thing of, if I get all this currency, do I have to convert it back to dollars, or can I use the currency? And I think that's the next step for some of these blockchains, is where people start to say, okay, now that people have some of the currencies, they need a venue to use them.
Yeah, and this is right there a real good way you could start a small business, and you could try to sell some of your, maybe even not make anything yet, but you know how people are really into decluttering these days. And a lot of times, a lot of times something you don't need anymore, somebody else would pay money for. So that would be a kind of a risk-free way to do that. So that's very cool.
Well, eBay became a $37 billion company just by people selling stuff in their closet. and their garage. And they became a $37 billion company. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variables. And that's why I say, you asked about blockchain, and I say basically everything you can think of in terms of what's going on right now, record keeping, documentation, any type of commerce, financial, banking, it's all going to end up on the blockchain. I mean, one of the currencies I'm most excited about, I'm very, very excited about Steam. But even more exciting than Steam is currency called BitShares. This system has the potential, and was actually created by the same person who created the Steam blockchain. But BitShares actually has the capability of taking the whole financial sector and putting it on the BitShares network. So everything you see that deals with finance, throw it on the BitShares blockchain and eliminate the whole rest of the financial world. It's on that blockchain. That is very exciting. They have the ability to throw entire companies on the blockchain, get rid of all the CEOs and all the managers and decision makers, and just have the whole business algorithm based and making decisions. I mean, these are some of the possibilities that are out there.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty advanced. So I think we better stop for today because, that's a lot. If you're brand new to the subject, that's a lot to wrap your mind around. But are you willing to come back and we do a follow-up, little educational segments?
Oh, absolutely. We can do that, on whatever intervals you want. I mean, it should be on a fairly consistent basis because if not, people forget what they learned. The best way to learn is consistency. One thing I want to just, and I'll finish with this, it can be a little overwhelming, but the point I want people to take home is with blockchain technology, if you're old enough, throw yourself back to the early to mid 90s. At that time, if somebody said everything will end up on the internet, most of us would have looked at that person and said, what the heck's the internet? We wouldn't know. I mean, our eyes glaze over. 20, 25 years later, everything's on the internet. Every company has a web page. You go pay all your bills, almost all your bills online. You get very little in your mailbox other than junk mail. All your bills come in online. You interact with people online, you instant message and stuff like that, and you Skype, and people make phone calls online. 25 years ago, that was unfathomable to most of us. It's unfathomable for people to say in 10, 15, 20 years, everything that we're doing is going to be on blockchain.
Right.
But I promise you it will be. And when you were listening to podcasts, the shipping industry, and they're looking at blockchain, that tells you something.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm really wanting to have our listeners learn about it. I'm just making this assumption here, but I truly believe that everybody who listens to us wants our planet to be healthy and happy and find ways to make a living without destroying the world. And I feel these new technologies are opening all kinds of ways we might not ever thought possible even 10 years ago. Give people a chance to just create the different lives they want to create. So yeah, thank you so much for educating us, beginning to educate us about this. So
okay, well, until next time.
Thank you. There you have it. I hope you learned a lot about this blockchain and cryptocurrency mystery, or it was a mystery for me. You guys might already know a lot more about it than I did. But today I'm so excited. And we talked during the interview a little bit about Steemit. And just yesterday, the price of SBD, which is Steam-backed dollar, went way up, and you could buy Steam from it. And it was like this really new thing for me to be trading crypto. And long story short, my account on Steemit, which I started in August, is now worth about like $3,000. So this is just really cool. And, it could go away again tomorrow. But having spent some time now wrapping my mind around it, I truly believe that for all of us who want to create this different life, if you're blogging, if you are wanting to do a small business and figure out how to get your goods to people, I really believe this is an answer. And I invite you to learn more about it. If you decide to join us on steemit.com, look me up and I'm happy to help you. So I don't get a direct benefit from you all joining, but I really, really, truly feel that this is one way we can live that lifestyle we are striving or wanting to create for us all. There are homesteaders over there, just all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah, make sure you look me up, Marianne West. It's a little bit of a learning curve when you first go into the platform. It's not that easy. So I'm absolutely happy to help all of you. And don't forget that you can find us on Patreon. That is, you can support us on Patreon, which is highly appreciated. We absolutely love it and are very grateful for all of you who do. A big shout out to our supporters, Karen Johnston, Erickson Diaz, Jennifer Telford, Tatiana Sinitskaya. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Sustainable Human, Giselle, Kristen, Jack Wolfman, Hinrich Hörnlein-Rummel, Ben Kotnick, Pari, Chenki, Onika Miyashiro, and Heidi Hörnlein. Thank you so much. You guys rock. Your support means a lot. We are not anywhere yet that we can buy or even support the podcast from it. What I was saying, buy new equipment. Not anywhere close. But just feeling that you appreciate what we are doing and giving us that support, even if it's $1 a month, means a lot to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So until next time, bye for now.